Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Relationship Theory. Here we take difficult emotions in and we talk them out like they are a regular conversation. Meta mirror match. Hey, this one's interesting. This conversation is going to be interesting on meta mirror matches. Why? Oh, that seat is so hot. My goodness. I'm going to need the shade. But anyway, the reason why it's going to be interesting is because this is going to be a conversation on something that actually stems from the virtual world. What do I mean? I'm talking about video games. Okay, so if you don't play video games, you'll probably have to exit stage left. But for everybody else, let's get into it. So, meta mirror match. Let me start with what it even is. Meta mirror matches. I've engaged in a couple of these, and what they are, in plain language, is there's a certain climax, a certain ceiling that you hit in games and skill, and where it actually always lands you is in a ghost match against yourself. If you've ever played Mirror's Edge, or any racing game like F-Zero GX, there's this time test that you get to play against yourself, using a stage and the laps and the time that it takes to get around the lap, around the stage to the next lap. And in meta mirror matches, even though there are more objectives, more teammates, and more things happening, more than ever, one thing remains the same: how long it takes to accomplish the goal and what tools you're using to get that done. Right down to the technique. So that's meta mirror match, and that word came from me. It came because of Overwatch 2. I've been playing that free-to-play game, so if anybody ever wants to join me, you can find me on Overwatch 2. Marvel Rivals now, but still it's the same thing. When you have these matches in which you're contesting, and it seems to give you this challenge that you cannot surmount, and the only reason why the challenge is that difficult is because it's playing off of everything you immediately know and everything you're ready to learn. All right? Because there's always a way to advance to the next level, and it's always dealing with what you know now, mirrored and reflected. So if you could project a version of yourself that had assembled all of the pieces of the techniques that you were using at the moment, what meta mirror match does is give you that reflection immediately after you feel like you've learned it, not even mastered it. And yet the funny part is, when you can defeat the version of you in a meta mirror match, it proves that you have mastered the technique, because you know the ins and outs of every single move that you're making. And that is true mastery. It's sort of like I did in episode 100 on Only Masters Do Not Try. Just let go. Let go once you're ready to assume that you've mastered something, because that's what it is. And that, especially in that episode, what I actually said in that episode was, when you are a master, the only thing that you do at that stage, when it's time to do anything, is let it go. You just gotta let it go. And that was because at the time I wasn't necessarily in the virtual world. I remember my state of life at that time was actually around, it was not in video games as much, but more so on exercise, making money, riding my e-bike, and making sure I was generally safe. So that had to do with my real life, okay? So I could hardly find a moment to engage in an experience that felt like a meta mirror match, because that was me fighting for my life. Now, when you go into the virtual world, fortunately, you get to have rounds and matches on repeat over and over again until you have this figure in your head that has assembled all the pieces of your experience together, which is a much safer way to assume that you're a conglomerate being, an entity of some kind, right? Which is really important, because that's something you cannot do in the real world without someone attempting to deconstruct or disassemble all of the pieces that you have put together of your life. Remember, not everybody who engages in physical reality with you cares enough to engage on a virtual level. And it's because they do that, you have to keep yourself safe. Not everybody wants to play with you on a level where, oh no, it's okay, you get to reset. But this is generally why video games exist. They exist to protect you from and exist as a fail-safe for the things that human beings are capable of when it comes to your life, okay? It's very rare that you as a physical being in this reality get to look at your life and say, okay, let's have another go at it. Because you're probably 57, 73 years old and you feel like you've spent your life. But even then, thankfully, life has a way of providing a virtual reality where you get to see yourself and make a change. And that's why that Michael Jackson quote is so powerful these days. About if you want to make a change in the world, take a look at yourself in the mirror first and start there, because you only get meta mirror matches from a reflection of yourself. So when we move away from the virtual reality, what I'm really saying here is assemble together the pieces of your life that you know that you have put to practice. Things such as any discipline, any enthusiasm in terms of sexuality, expression of self, intimate parts such as friendships, both platonic and romantic, and when it comes to relationships, because there is still an idea of friendship that relies on romantic relationships to survive. Rather not just survive, but thrive, okay? Because an unfortunate reality about surviving is you only have enough space in your life to imagine the world is big enough to let you live. Once you thrive, there is nobody suppressing your ability to live a healthy life. Rather, the challenge then is actually living a healthy life. But then that's why this vlog exists. Meta mirror matches in a world that is not virtual. Is you facing the real you who has learned everything that they have learned, but they're ready to let it go. That's this episode of The Relationship Theory. Enjoy the rest of your day.